Hello and welcome everyone to this week's episode of the podcast. As you guys will hopefully know by now, it's very exciting, but this Friday is the final deadline to sign up for one of the Jewellery Diploma programs with Jewelers Academy this year. So many of you are joining us already and we cannot wait. And I know you guys are super excited as well because I've been seeing you on socials and emails and things like that saying, I'm starting in September and my toolkit has arrived or my materials have arrived. And yeah, it's a good energy. We're here for it. But the final deadline to sign up is this Friday, the 13th of June. Yes, we put it on Friday the 13th, just because it's an easy date to remember. And at that point, we are closed and won't open again for at least another year. So lots of exciting things. So today we're going to talk a bit about the diplomas, but mostly we're going to be talking about this idea of holding ourselves back. And I suppose our message to you today is stop holding yourself back if it's something that you're doing. And I think we know there's a little voice inside of us sometimes that's like, maybe it's fear or insecurity or just not knowing what the future's going to be or worry about something. And we think, I'd love to do that, but not now. Or, pushing the can down the road, or that's great for other people, but not for me, or I can do it all on my own. And so we're just going to have a little chat today, a little bit around those topics and the mindset, but also sharing a bit about our diplomas and some of the students that have come through the program and how proud and excited we are of all they've achieved. So to help me in the discussion today, we have community manager Anna Campbell. Welcome, Anna.
Hi. Yeah, this is everything, I think. I'm just really excited to be talking about this topic because, yeah, it's just so important. We're going to get into it all.
And I think something that's come up a lot on social media when we're sharing about the diplomas and sharing all the projects and sharing the tutors and sharing the students, like it's such a big thing. It's such a big operation for us, but also for our students, it's life changing. And something that I see time and time again is people saying, I just wish I'd done it earlier. Like I wish I'd done it before. I've been looking at it for years. And why didn't I just go for it sooner, kind of thing? Which brought us onto this sort of topic of why do we hold ourselves back, whether it's from this or anything, when we know we want to do something, we know it would be good for us, it will help us grow our business, it's our passion, we love it. Usually that part is not missing. what what in your experience kind of would cause you to hold yourself back, or what are some of the things psychologically, I suppose, behind why do humans do that? It's a big question.
It's just so funny. It kind of brought up this memory of there was this course that I really wanted to do. And every year, I think for like 3 years, I would get this was for a university course, and I would get the prospectus and I would get it, and I would be there and I'd be reading it through and looking at it and going, oh yeah, I really want to do this. And then be like just not done it. And then the third year that I got the prospectus, I was like, right, this is ridiculous. It's not going away. The course has gone up in price since the first time I looked at it. My situation hasn't changed. I'm still working full time, and this is a degree that you do part time. But I was like, right, no, I've got to do this now. I've got to do this, and it was that feeling of like, oh, okay. I wasted those 3 years because I fit it in. I think there's lots of things that can be going on for us. There's around a kind of a fear of the unknown, because everything in our life fills our life, doesn't it? And you're like, well, how can I add something else? I saw this thing, it's called Parkinson's Law, I think it's called, and it is that our work expands to fill the time we've got available.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
remember you saying that around when Harry was born as well. Like, it's like you, you just do. You just find the way to fit things in.
Mm,
And it's a really weird thing because like everything just expands to fit everything to fit, and you're like, how can I fit more in? But actually, if it's something you really love, then you'll find, if it's something you really want to do, if it's something that's going to make a big difference to you. Kelly Twig, I was talking to her about this, and she's like, well, she's got, I think, three daughters. She's got, she's working, she's got all kinds of things going on. And she's like, but I just love doing the diploma because it's like my own time. Like
Mm.
it's a time I've carved out for myself to learn something new. So I just I think sometimes we need to flip it on its head a little bit. And it's like, okay, this is important to me. I keep thinking about it. I keep looking at it. I keep wanting to do it. Um, I can find a way.
I love that, and I think it's so true, and I think some of it comes down to the messaging that we got growing up as well. Like I feel like a lot of stuff comes down to that. But if were you encouraged to go for things? Were you encouraged to take risks? If you said to your parents, "I want to do this thing. I want to go here. I want to do that," were you met with, "Let's do it"? Because that really builds, I think, that attitude as well of letting go of fear, and it's like, well, let's try it, let's experiment, let's play. And I think when we're being creative, when we're making jewelry, there's so much of that comes out, and that's why it's so part of the reason why it's so fun is it's like, oh, we get to make things, we get to explore, we're literally creating something in the universe that didn't exist before we did it, which I always think is incredible. But similarly, people can be met with other messages of, we don't have time for that. We're too busy. We don't have enough money for that. No, that's not sensible. Like, and I would encourage people to think about some of the messaging they might have received or they might be giving themselves as well, especially if you're someone who often looks on the sidelines and sort of wishes and hopes but doesn't maybe take the action. I mean, I feel like I was very lucky. I did get a lot of that can do messaging. I'm sure there were times when I also got the other messaging too, but I seem to absorb that. So we were actually chatting before the podcast about when we had held ourselves back, and I was like, I think I have the opposite problem. I think I don't hold myself back
I
enough.
know.
That's the
Jess
thing.
is like, I think we should do this. And I'm like, okay, but can we finish the last thing first?
Yeah, yeah,
That's fine.
always, yeah, which is another whole thing as well. But I think, yeah, it's something about. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? But it is something. It's that investing in yourself. It's knowing that you are worth it. And I think for me, a big part, because I do a lot of training every year. So I'm going to a course later this week actually, and the courses that I go to, they're expensive because I want to learn certain things that that's just how it goes. And I think it's letting go of the perfectionism is such an important part of it as well, because sometimes when we're investing a lot of time, money, energy, we think, well, if I do it, I have to be perfect at it. And I think that can hold us back because we're not perfect yet. We're always going to be perfect at some point in the future, of course, but right now we're not. So we have to wait. And it's that trick that the mind plays on us of, it's almost like, I'll be happy when, or I'll be ready when this happens, when that happens, when I'm not working, when my kids are older. Um, and I think something that I have to remind myself is that when is never coming. Yes, there are some years that are particularly chaotic, but mostly just keeps coming, like you said, Anna. We fill it, we fill it with the time that we have. So it's almost just making that decision, like I said, whether it's a diploma or any big decision, and prioritizing, I suppose, and being like, this is what is important to me, and I only get this one life, and this is my passion. So why not now? Why not go for it and figure it out and muddle along and make the mistakes and miss some sessions because I'm tired. All of that is part of being a human, isn't it? And yeah, I don't know if you've ever had perfectionism holding you back, Anna, in a similar way.
I think for me, what's the thing that holds me back? I think sometimes I'm it's not quite the same thing. I guess it's a little bit, but it's that slight right at the end, like holding myself back. Because what if I'm not good enough? I guess it is kind of perfectionism, but it's almost the opposite way round of thinking of it. It's like that if I don't quite put it all in and then it doesn't quite work, then it's okay because I could have done more. And I think there's a little bit of that too that can happen. I think so. A lot of people don't necessarily realize that about the diploma, that there's a 60% pass rate. So you don't have to get like 80% to get a certification in this. You actually don't even have to submit absolutely every project. Obviously, we'd love you to. We really want to give you the feedback. That's kind of the reason we have the deadlines and things like that. We want to give you that feedback. But like if something happens, or a project doesn't get done, you're still likely to pass. overall, because it's a kind of percentage overall of things.
Mm.
um you can't just not give anything in, of course, but it's one of those things. And the other thing that people worry about is like, oh, but like, what if I have a bit of a nightmare with a particular project and it all just goes wrong. I think we know that this is the first time you're ever doing any of these skills. And the first time we're doing it is when we learn. And the second time we do it is when we've used what we've learned. And we know that when we're marking your work, we're marking that first time. We're marking that learning process. And that's the important thing, because we have to go through that bit to get to the next bit. There's no way of shortcutting that, and
Mm.
that's just the way of things as well. So I think you're right. I think that can happen, is that people can just really feel like, oh, but what if I'm not good enough, or what if I can't do it? And I just have to remind you that you're not meant to be able to do these things. You're
Mm.
kind of meant to look at those things and go, oh my goodness, feel like really excited, but also a little bit like daunted, like how? Because the how is what we do. That's our job. Getting you there is our job.
Absolutely. And we love getting you there. It's so fun. And, people have obviously passed that knowledge on to us, and we love passing it on. Like, I just love the community aspect of it as well. And we were talking before about this hyper independence, which can come out as well and I think it's more prevalent now than ever, is this idea of like, I'm a self-taught jeweler. Um, or I figured it all out myself, and I'm not quite sure what self-taught means, because unless you've never looked at a book or the internet or seen any like we're influenced by everything. I guess it means like I haven't done a degree or an apprenticeship, but um to me, like, self-teaching is not the way forward. Like, I love learning from other people, and I think there's a humility in that, in understanding that if someone's been doing something for 20 years, longer than me, I'd love to see how they do it, because that's going to move me forward. And jewelry is my passion, so I want to learn as much as possible. And I think, yeah, there's nothing wrong with training. I suppose it's almost like that's what gives you your energy, it's what gives you your ideas, and you'll still find your own unique way through it. And something that I love about what we do at Jewelers Academy is you're exposed to so many different tutors throughout all of these diploma programs. So you'll learn so many different ways of doing the same thing. And what I notice with the students is they then almost find their own way based on a hybrid of maybe 3 different tutors saying, oh, this person did this person did that, but I actually kind of do halfway in between. And that's how the craft evolves as well, I think, is having that exposure to these different techniques and being open-minded about maybe there's a better way, maybe there's a quicker way, maybe there's a way that works better for me. And I think that problem solving as well is something that, again, you probably know more about the psychology of this, Anna, than me, but when you're learning and you're open-minded and you're developing new skills and techniques, there's such an energy in that. I feel like it affects every part of your life. Like, your
Right.
business grows, your friendships grow, you've got more to talk about, like your relationships are better, you're more fulfilled and kind of focusing on your own purpose. And it's just this expansive kind of energy that comes for me from training, and I see that in our students as well. And it's what we love. It's why we like being a part of it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that I would add, which is kind of allied to that point, is that the diploma is based on that incremental learning. So you learn something and then you learn the next thing and practice the first thing. And so you're really building your skills. And it's been so exciting. Over the last few weeks, I've been talking to a lot of graduates, and talking to them on the podcast, as you have as well. And just to hear how shocked they are at, like, seeing themselves in September when they first start the course, to seeing themselves now, and where, how much what they've done is like complete quantum leap. It's like not just step by step, it's suddenly they're completely different and their outlook is very different. And I think that's what's really exciting. But also, I think the fact that we've curated these diplomas that have such interesting techniques that you're learning, and I think it may well be, and it will be, that you'll learn something and it won't be something you want to continue doing. It won't be your style. It won't be your signature style. But having learned that, I think everything we learn kind of just expands our creativity, expands our ideas, and it's all about kind of giving you that impetus and the knowledge that you need to say, okay, oh yeah, wax carving, love that, that's for me, or maybe that's not for me. And I think another thing that can happen is that, and I think this is such an important one, and that is that, that kind of kids game, what is it, where someone is I can't remember the name of it, but where you're saying, oh, that someone's moving around and they're like, oh, you're getting warmer, or you're getting colder, you're getting colder, that one. And I feel like the diploma's a little bit like that, in that sometimes people are like, I really want to do this, but I don't quite know why. Like, I don't have like a 5-year plan. I don't know where this is going to lead me. And so therefore I shouldn't do it. But actually, I always feel like if you kind of follow like the hot tracks, like what's the warmer for you? What are you going to move towards? Because you don't know all of the things that you don't know. And you don't know all the things about yourself that you don't know. And the diploma kind of helps you to uncover that. And I think that is just awesome.
I love that analogy with the hotter and colder, and I very much feel the same. Like, there's so many things that I've done, and like, I often, when I'm signing up for a new course or a program or whatever, I don't want to tell anyone about it because I don't want someone to say why, what's the plan, like you said, because I don't know yet. I'm just like, I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, I'm excited about this. And I think the hard thing there can be when you're investing, is it can feel like I need to know how I'm
Yeah.
going to get this money back, or I need to know, all the things that we don't know. But I think that if you can have that faith in yourself and in your intuition, I think intuition is the most powerful thing for running a business, and probably for life as well, is just following it, and that blind faith almost of, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to open a jewelry shop or teach jewelry making or sell stuff or move away from jewelry entirely, but have gotten so much from it that I can apply in something else. But I think when we can take that leap of faith and just trust that this is calling us for some reason, like if you're listening to this podcast, this is calling you. This is a niche podcast in a niche industry. So, it's definitely, there's a sign here for you if you are here, that you want this, part of you wants this. And I know that only because that's my experience for myself. But when you can trust yourself enough to just do the next thing and see what happens, and trust that all that's going to come is going to be good, even if it doesn't feel good at the time, I think that's when these amazing things happen. Because most people who are super successful or have whatever you might call a successful life, which could be really humble and calm and grounded, and that's the successful life, or it could be really kind of doing loads of things, or family, whatever it is. I think it's from following that voice inside that's like, I'm going to do this. And it's like, we don't know why. But I love the diversity of where people have taken it. Like Anna, you talked about some of our graduates. And now that we've been doing these diplomas online for a number of years, we're really seeing the graduates coming through and thriving, because most fine jewelry businesses, which is what most people are building off the back of these diplomas, not everyone, but many, do take 5 to 10 years to be established. That's just how it goes. It's a trust-based business. And because we're kind of 5 years in, we're starting to really see them emerging. So you've got people like Ian Sainsbury, who this is his second year exhibiting at Goldsmiths North, which is a really prestigious fair. He's teaching. He's got fine jewelry kind of collections and pieces that he does with his sand casting. His stone setting has improved massively. It's just incredible to think, where he started to where he is now. And then there's people like Alice Kant, who did the diploma in silver jewelry and started her business pretty much then, as soon as she started the diploma, and just invested in her time in marketing and Instagram and sharing her journey. and now she's got her shop and she's thriving. She's hired staff. And the list goes on, and they're all so different and diverse, and they're based in different places. They're different genders, they're completely different ages, like all the things. So I find it really affirming to see students doing that. And hopefully for people who are new thinking, well, I haven't really even made any jewelry yet. It's like, this is all available to you, and it is a journey, and it's not going to be quick. We never say it's going to be quick. That's why we need at least a year with you. Ideally, we'd like 3 years or maybe even 4 to do this training. But yeah, it's incredible to see the people that have had the courage to keep putting themselves out there, keep investing in themselves, keep trusting the process, I suppose, and the results are kind of starting to come in, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think there's kind of two different, well, there's lots of different types of people who would do this, but sometimes we find that there are complete beginners. So on the podcast recently, I spoke to Nilu, who was doing the diploma in silver metal clay, who I love, and she had never even touched metal clay when she signed up for the diploma, but she'd watched a few courses that we'd done, and she was like, yeah, no, I've just had that kind of hot track feeling, like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do next, working full time, fitting it in around her, what she's already doing. And that was really exciting. But then someone like Sally Coston, who I was very fortunate to be the mentor for, who has just gone on and just smashed the awards, the Jewelers Awards. She just is an amazing designer, and that's where she's kind of taken her jewelry and what she does in terms of her fine jewelry. And it's right. But what's interesting is you can come from nothing, like have never done any jewelry before, but it's like, I just know this is the right thing for me. I know the day that I did metal clay at London Jewelry School, that first day, and on my Facebook page, like straight after I finished that, I wrote, I've seen my future and it is metal clay. And because I was like, right, this is it, this is what I'm going to do. And I went out and I did it all, and and that was my story. And I think we need to stop tamping that down. We need to stop being realistic about these things. We need to start getting unrealistic about these things and just go, no, this is where it is. Because I think a lot of times we can look back in hindsight. I first was doing metal clay in 2010. That was the first time I'd ever used it. And look back on where I've come from now, it's not necessarily where I would have thought. I wouldn't even have known where it would take me. But that's kind of the point. We just follow the track, and we just keep moving forwards and keep following the thing that feels alive to us. And I think what can happen, I think it's really sad, is that people can kind of put their own dreams aside and put them on hold, and then they kind of do die. They can do, because the energy was there at that beginning stage. So
Mm.
again, as you said, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I really want to do it, and I'm feeling scared, which a lot of people will be. And that's, when we do something new, that's going to happen. um it's I think it comes back to what I would say is it's time to back yourself,
Mm.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I agree. It's that trusting yourself, isn't it? Like, I feel like I know when I want to do something. Sometimes I'm not sure, but usually when I inquire a bit more, it's like, why am I not sure? And it's often a logistical reason. And if
Yeah.
it's a logistical reason, that's a good sign to me that it's fear-based. Do I have enough time? Do I have enough money? Is there enough space? These are all logistical reasons. And that's where I think all of that's figure outable, and I know that's easy for me to say, but it is. You can figure stuff out. And I think it's my mum that used to say, with money, if you really want something, you'll find the money for it. And I know that that can be a privileged thing to say, and there's some extent to that is true. In certain parts of the world perhaps that's not the case, but generally speaking, I live in a country where I can do a job, I can earn money, I can make choices, I can sacrifice. And of course, with these programs, you're making something that should make you money. So it really is an investment. And loads of our students, we've shared it a lot on the podcast before, sell as they go, and that's how they're funding it. And they don't have it to begin with. They just have enough for that first payment, and that's month one. And to begin with, I thought, oh, is it irresponsible to encourage that? But that's how almost every successful business starts. It's this bootstrapping technique of, we've got enough to pay the rent this month. Right. We've got 30 days to make next month. And yeah, okay, it is possible that it doesn't work out, but it's very highly likely that you will figure it out because you got this far in life. And think of all of the things that you've managed to do that have been hard. This may be hard and maybe it won't be. But I always think if there's like a strong pull to it, like that hot feeling, like you said, it kind of means that maybe it's a bit woo-woo, but somehow the universe is going to sort it out. Like there will be a way. And again, it might not be perfect, but it will be good enough. And that was the other thing I was thinking when we were coming to record this, is this idea of like what you're doing is enough. Whatever course you're doing, whatever program, however well you're doing it, it's enough. Because that's another thing that I think can hold us back, is thinking, I haven't done it as well as this person, or comparing, especially with social media. I mean, it's amazing to see everybody else's work, but it can also feel like, oh, they're doing better, or should I be doing more? And it's not that energy we're after. It's more the grounded, like, I love making stuff and I want to make more stuff. And I want to be around other people who feel the same way. And I want to talk to them. I want to ask them questions. And I want to hear their perspective, because we've not talked much on this podcast anyway about the groups and the mentoring. But that is such a powerful part, as well as, the accountability. And I think that it helps bring out more of what we already have inside, which is such a gift. We're so lucky that we kind of get to do that.
I think that's such an important one. And I think what's interesting is when people say, oh, that I signed up for the diploma because I wanted to learn XYZ. And it tends to be, and that's a really important part of it, obviously. But a lot of times when I'm talking to people who have finished the diploma, they're like, well, the thing that really, really helped me was the community. It was my group. It was my mentor who kind of took me down off the ledge because I had this problem when I was doing this thing, and they helped me with it. And I think what can happen when we get into that hyper independent, I'm forever talking about this kind of thing myself, is that we try and take it all on ourselves, and that is a really big struggle. If we're trying to do absolutely everything ourselves, especially things we don't know how to do yet. Like, that's kind of the point of the diploma, is learning something you don't know how to do yet. And then, if we try and do that ourselves and try and work out our own way of doing that, firstly, if you can do it, it's super slow, but you're likely going to, give up because you don't have that support. You don't have those deadlines to keep you going, and like, oh, just going to put this down and go away for 3 months and come back to it, kind of thing. It's all of that together that really people have said was such a massive thing for them. And the people have stayed friends, have met up at some of the fairs if they're in the same countries, but even just chatting on Zoom calls. I'm in a group we started in 2020, and we still meet up once a month on Zoom, and that is like such a big gift to me, to have those people around me. It's not something you maybe think about when you're thinking about signing up, but it might be the thing that really helps push you forward as well.
Yeah, it's feeling part of something, isn't it? I think that all of us in some way need to feel part of something. And yes, we may have our friends and our family and whatever, but they don't quite get the jewelry stuff usually, unless they're also jewelers. It's such a niche industry in so many ways, and it's so vast. There's so many types of jewelry making, there's so many tools, there's so many things that can go wrong with every single piece. And I'm lucky because I'm surrounded by jewelers, so pretty much any issue that I have, I can be like, how do you guys deal with this? What do you do? And I'm just constantly learning. Even now, like 20 years almost down the road, I'm at Brighton today, and we have a diploma student diploma students in for the summer intensive. And it's fascinating seeing people at the beginning of their journey, but we can all learn from each other, whatever stage you're at. And it was also making me think about, it's one thing, in a way, it's easier to be a beginner, because if you're a beginner, you know where you are, you're at the beginning, and almost anything you learn is a plus. But some of our students have been making jewelry for a number of years, and it can be confusing because you think, well, I'm definitely not a beginner, but maybe I also haven't learned. A lot of people say, like, I don't know if what I've learned is the correct way, which there's a few things in there. I mean, there isn't one correct way, but also perhaps it's not a way that's working for you, so you want to try different ways. And I know, like Kelly, you mentioned before, Kelly Twigg joined the diploma in silver jewelry, and she'd definitely been making jewelry before that. She was running quite a successful jewelry business before, but she wanted a thorough training. And I think a lot of people come to us for that as well, because it's like plugging the holes, making sure there's no gaps. And especially for people considering teaching or perhaps working in the trade or working with others, you want to feel confident that whatever someone asks you to do, firstly, you know what they're talking about, because it's a whole different language, learning jewelry making, but also that you've had a go at it, even if you perhaps haven't done it a lot. You're like, oh yeah, I did that back in my diploma. So I think it really helps with the imposter syndrome, but it also, we've talked about this idea of not feeling good enough, but sometimes I also find, like, feeling like I know more than I do know, and thinking, oh, I know how to do that, but actually someone else has a different way, and maybe it's better, or maybe it will expand my knowledge in a way that's going to help me solve something that I've been trying to solve for a while in a particular setting or whatever. So it comes back to that open-mindedness, I think, again, and just that lifelong learning of, there's always, even if you've been making jewelry for 20 plus years, there's always so much that can be learned on these programs and working with this community of jewelers, which I love.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I know. I just love all of this. This is so good.
Yeah.
And I think what's one of the great things about the diploma program, because we do have four, for people at different kinds of levels. And as you mentioned, Kelly went straight in on the year one diploma in silver jewelry, which is fine for beginners. Like, some people might be like, oh, why can I do that one? Yes, it's absolutely designed to start you right at beginner level, but to get you to professional jeweler within a year. And for a long time, that was our only diploma. And someone like Alice Cant, who you mentioned earlier, who has her own shop, has her staff with her, that's the one that she has done. And she has now focused on growing her business since that. But then there's also the diploma in fine jewelry, which is our year two, which is like, they're about like going from one to the other. And it's like our own little mini diploma, not diploma, but degree program, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But moving on from there, and particularly for those who want to work with gold and fine jewelry, and all of that, that's a brilliant next step, because you're coming into the stone setting and all of that. And then the year three advanced jewelry diploma, that's the really advanced stone setting stuff, the pave and all of those tiny stones that they're working with. So as you said, there's somewhere to come in for everybody. You don't have to come in at silver. If you have got more experience, you could come in at the fine or even at the advanced. We have had a couple of people do that. And then I just got to put a little plug out for the diploma in silver metal clay, because it's my own love. So metal clay is an amazing material, a different way of making jewelry, very creative, quite sculptural, very good if you're very into the botanical side of things too. So I'll make sure I put the quiz in the show notes, because there's a little kind of 2-minute quiz just to see which diploma is right for you. Hopefully you may already know and you're just on the fence a bit about coming in, but I'll put the quiz in just to make it so it's a little bit easier for you.
Absolutely. And yeah, we just can't wait for you guys to get started. I mean, September may sound like a long way away, but it is going to come very quick.
I can't believe it's June. What's happened?
I know, it's just going to whiz by. And then, it's that thing of the time's going to pass anyway. And where do you want to be a year from now? So a year from now, you could be wrapping up your term 3 on that diploma that you're signing up for at the moment, and we'll be celebrating those successes. Maybe you'll be coming on the podcast and sharing about your journey. And there's all these intangible things that aren't in the program but just happen because of the program and how much you invest in it and put yourself into it. And yeah, I just love that. And I think so our message, I suppose, today about this stop holding yourself back is brings us on to thinking about the logistical challenges that you might have, because they can be very real. So money is one of the big ones. How will I afford it? Can I afford it? And I think that's a very practical, for me, like if I'm looking at something and I'm looking at the figures, it's a sit down, it's a right, what's the monthly cost? How can I make that? What could I do? There's always a way. There is always a way. So, and if you go into it with that attitude of there's always a way, maybe talking to your partner or whoever, if you're on your own, then maybe just having a word with yourself and saying, well, all I need is that first payment, and the rest is kind of going to come as and when by putting the effort in. Then when it comes to time, that's another big one. Is we have a lot of people that do this program alongside full-time jobs. Like you said, Kelly has 3 girls. I don't know how she does anything, but she does. And that thing of fitting the time, kind of almost expanding and contracting based on what you have. We say 7 hours a week, so that could be 1 hour an evening. It could be, one day, full day. It could be a couple of half days, and whatever you have, that's what you put in. So some weeks you'll have more, some weeks you'll have less, some weeks you might be unwell or away. That's normal. It's not 52 weeks a year, it's 3 terms and it's 10 teaching weeks a term. So it is manageable. It's challenging, but it's manageable. So I think, yeah, again, don't let the time hold you back. You'll never feel like you have time. I don't think anyone's ever said to me, do you know what, I've got loads of spare time. What should I do with it? It's just, even when people retire, they don't feel that way. I don't think. It's almost like a psychological thing. So if time feels like the reason, I would question that. Tools and materials we can provide for you. But if you missed any of the kits or the deadlines for anything, there's a full list, so you can go ahead and order them. You only need what you need for that week, and you can kind of pay as you go and gradually build up your tool and material kit. I think they're the main objections. Someone asked me recently about space, how much space they needed. And again, it's like the time thing. A jeweler will fill whatever space they have with tools and materials. So jewelry is obviously very small. You don't need a lot of space. You can do it on a kitchen table. We've had people do it in one bed situations where it's just at the side of their bed and they've just got a room. But then there's people with giant houses and many rooms full of tools. So we're lucky with jewelry that it's not quite like ceramics or woodwork where you do need a bit more space. You can keep it really compact, but if you have more room, you will expand. I'm pretty sure about that. I think they're the main objections, and I guess the other one is just pushing it down the road, like, oh, I'm just not ready. Like, I'm just not. It's almost like a kind of, it's not really a real reason. It's just like, I'll do it one day. And that's where I think me and Anna would encourage you, like, you're worth it now. You don't have to do it perfectly. It's, why wait? We don't know how many years we have left. Maybe that's a little morbid, but we don't. And I know when I've been like really ill and stuff, this is an interesting turn, and I've thought, like, we all have those thoughts at times when we're like, will I even survive this? My main concern has been all the things that I still haven't done yet. I've never thought, oh, I wasn't that sensible about managing my time, or I wasn't, I kind of regret. I don't regret anything. I just think, oh, I won't be able to do this again. And sometimes it's food based as well. I'll never be able to eat this again. Kind of an interesting one. But yeah, I guess that comes back to the idea of we regret the things that we didn't do, not the things that we did. So if it feels warm, if this feels warm for you, go for it. We're here. We're going to support you through the ups and downs of the next year. And we're just your cheerleaders. We can't wait to kind of see what you make and get excited about growing your businesses and growing yourself alongside these programs. Any final thoughts, Anna, before we wrap up
Mm.
today?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It is, don't put your own self aside. Don't set those things aside and say, oh, in the future, because like you say, we're not guaranteed that, but what we can do is what we can do now. And um and you don't for most of us, we don't know where this path is going to take us, and that's both a little bit scary and also massively exciting as well. So yeah, I would definitely say follow the hot track. If it's there for you, you don't even know why, but it's holding on to you and you're still here listening, then go for it.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we're super excited for you guys. We can't wait to get started. We'll put a link to signing up to the diplomas in the show notes. If you're thinking about doing it, do it now. The deadline is Friday. After that, it is closed. And we want a bit of time to get excited with you and to get ready and to, get all your tools sorted and all your materials. And those of you already signed up, I hope that this makes you even more excited about what is to come. And those of you that have completed diploma programs with us, just well done, because it's a big undertaking, and we're super proud of you and everything that you have achieved and that you're going on to achieve. It's great to see people inspiring others in the community. And just all of you guys here, whether you join us for one of these programs or not, we're super grateful to have you in this community. It's a warm place. It's a warm place where everyone is welcome and invited, and we're excited that you get to be part of that and we get to be part of that as well. All righty. Well, thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And we'll see you back here next week for another episode of the podcast. Anna, thanks so much for coming and sharing your thoughts and ideas with us today. Just finally, if anybody hasn't connected with you yet, where is the best place to find you online?
Yeah, I'm definitely hanging out on Instagram. So it's Anna C. Campbell on Instagram.
Brilliant. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes too. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.